Today we are obviously talking about Donkey Kong. We're going to do Donkey Kong Country. We're going to do a comparison of Donkey Kong Country and Vector. So this is not my jam. I did not have a Super Nintendo when I was a kid. I was a Sega kid. But this came out in 1994, developed by Rare, which would go on to make the greatest Nintendo 64 game of all time and the greatest first-person shooter game of all time, GoldenEye 64. So obviously this is a side-scroller. It took 18 months to develop.
Yes, and actually this was in response to Sega's Aladdin game. So you'll find with these companies and these games, it's all a response to something else. So this was created as a response to their Aladdin game, which was really phenomenal. And then Vector Man was in response to this game. As you can see, I'm kind of playing. I had this game as a kid. And as you can see, there's so many different secrets and didn't get that one. But there's so many secrets and hidden things, and each level is replayable. I love this game. I think this game's absolutely phenomenal.
I admire its technical achievement, but I do not like playing as a monkey. So, what they did here, and you're not allowed to exit with the...
No, I can't.
So what they did was they rendered all of the backgrounds and the characters in 3D and then scaled it back down and converted it to 2D, which is why it has that 3D look, that pop, and what they were trying to do was prove that you didn't need a PlayStation and you didn't need a Sega 32X because you could play these awesome looking games right here, right now, on a 16-bit system. So this was a way to, while the Nintendo 64 was being developed, it was a way to extend the life of this system. And let's just listen to this music for a minute.
Or directed by Shigeru Miyamoto, and if you know who that is, you've been playing these games and you're familiar with Nintendo. He was Nintendo's main producer. He created Mario, he created Donkey Kong originally, but he did have a hand in some of the character design, some of the sprite design, and you can kind of see his hand in it. These character designs are absolutely beautiful. The backgrounds are gorgeous. Foreground, this is a beautiful looking and sounding game.
And you can tell that the level design is inspired by Mario 3. So this sold 9.3 million copies worldwide. It was the third best-selling Super Nintendo game, and it's still the best-selling Donkey Kong game of all time.
So this music was actually inspired by a recent breakup of the sound designer, and he felt like he was underwater. So you kind of get this very soft melody, this very smooth, you feel like you're underwater while you're listening to this song. It's really lovely. So this is a prime example of a boss at the end of each world or stage.
Just like Mario stomped 3 times.
Yeah, kind of. Apparently David Wise was the composer, and he was inspired by a Nine Inch Nails song, which I didn't know, I thought was very fascinating.
Product placement on that banana.
Yes. So you can already see this is in the second world second stage of levels, and it already feels so different than the first group of stages. This is very moody, very cavern-like. Apparently it was inspired by Temple of Doom. So you can absolutely see that if
Like
you
minecart chase. If you
Yes.
want. So Donkey Kong is gonna go save Indian children.
maybe.
So this is my favorite track in the game. I listen to this just to sometimes listen to this. So, while my lovely wife is playing through this, let's talk about some other things that we didn't get to. So Nintendo at the time was struggling to keep the Super Nintendo profitable. Nintendo 64 was about to get dropped. PlayStation was out and was kicking their ass, and Nintendo for the first time, between competition from the Sega Genesis and Sony PlayStation, for the first time Nintendo was like, holy crap, we don't have control of the market, like we actually have real competition. So that's where this game came from, and it worked for them. It sold 500,000 copies in the first week, 1 million by the second week, 6 million in the first holiday season, and they don't track it anymore, but 9.3 million copies sold. This game still is a seller on the used market. GamePro rated it the best graphical achievement. 1995 Kids' Choice Award. Fuck them kids.
Hey, those kids got taste.
I love the music. I love the graphics. I love the movement. I just cannot get over the fact that you're playing as munchy monkeys.
Look how cute they are.
I know, it's not my thing. I'm a Sega guy. We'll get to my thing in a minute. But the animation on that flame, that's pretty. And then his movement, his facial expression there.
Right. I think his original name was it Dinky? I think Diddy's original name was Dinky. I'm kind of glad they changed it because that would be a step too far for you, I think.
Yes it would. So let's talk about stuff that they don't have in your notes here. How are the controls?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's smooth. It flows, and that was something that the game designers purposely did. They wanted it to flow. Oops, as I died. They
Flow
wanted
like
it.
fucking Sonic.
They wanted the game to flow for people who speedrunning wasn't a thing in 1994 like it is now, but they wanted to give it that for experienced players could just shoot through levels if you wanted to. So I thought that that was really interesting. But it's difficult. It can be very, very challenging.
Alright, so smooth controls, great graphics, fantastic animations. I like that you can save. My rating is still 4 out of 10 because I just don't like the world or the world building. I don't like playing as monkeys, but I recognize its incredible technical achievement.
You got a glimpse of the overall world map, but each of these worlds feel different. The music is different in each one. It's not the same type of music.
There's a vulture in the high mountains for some reason.
Well, there are all of these little side games and mini quests and there's hidden things in hidden rooms. It's really a very big game, even if it doesn't really.
Alright, so what's your final rating on Donkey Kong Country?
I'm very tempted to give it a perfect score, but I can't because it is incredibly difficult. I don't know, like 9.5. Like, I love this game. I could pick this one up and just absolutely enjoy playing for a half hour, for an hour. It really genuinely is enjoyable.
So still worth playing.
Oh, 100%. If you've never played it, this is absolutely one to have in a Super Nintendo collection.
And we play on original hardware. So
no emulating for us.
no re-releases on different systems. But if that's how you can play it, by all means, play it.
Absolutely play it.
Now, let's move on. Alright, so this is more my speed. This is my jam. So this is Vector Man, and I'm just gonna play while we talk. There is some secret, like if you shoot the Sega's logo 50,000 times, or jump into it, or do something weird, you get some secrets, but we're not gonna be able to do that. So, Blue Sky Software, and this game was released in what year?
Late 1995.
Oh, there it is. This was a response to Donkey Kong. Sega was like, oh shit, Nintendo does what Sega don't, so we need one of them 3D sprites converted down to 2D as well. So one thing I like about this is you can choose your difficulty. Wow, very 90s difficulty. Wicked. Insane! Lame. Yes, I'm going lame on lame game. I'm sorry. Alright, so the plot line of this, if I remember correctly, and you read the notes over there, can you correct me?
Yeah.
So it's sometime in the future, and this game is all about environmental propaganda. So, oh, there it is! In 2049, Earth's cities, forests, and ice caps are fouled with toxic sludge. Humanity has escaped to the stars, leaving mechanical bullshits to clean this up. That's right, kids. Humans are evil. That's a good message to teach kids. One powerful robot, Raster, oversees the cleanup through a planet-wide ComNet. ComNet. Oh, man. An error happens, and he gets attached to a nuclear bomb and becomes Warhead and enslaves all the robots, and then when the humans come back, he's gonna enslave them, and it's up to Vector Man, just a garbage robot that was off-world, and here we go, we don't care about the environmental propaganda. This is why we came up all fucked up as kids, because we were just inundated with propaganda. So, you can see it's the same type of deal. 3D render converted back down to 2D to compete with Donkey Kong. And Vector Man is made up of how many different sprites?
I think it was 32 different sprites. 23 individual sprites.
That's awesome. And
Yeah,
as you go through the levels, you get these power-ups. The levels are not linear, so like Donkey Kong, the goal is to explore, to go up, to go down.
Although, to be fair, in Donkey Kong, there is a lot of exploration. You get lots of bonus rooms. Sometimes they're hidden so very well that you find them accidentally. You thought you were going to die, you fell into a hole and ended up being a secret room or a secret part of the level. But this kind of has this. The whole level is kind of open-ended, and it's very much more how you want to complete it.
And I don't think this looks quite as good as Donkey Kong, but I like the world building better. I like playing as a robot that can shoot lasers rather than playing as a monkey. Alright, so what else do we have on production notes?
So, Blue Sky had previously worked with Sega. They had in the 1990s, that's when they started working with
Well, this is why I love this game, because it's HD. I'm a drill. So yes, obviously Vector Man can work on different things.
They made two Jurassic Park games with Sega. I don't know how successful they were, and I didn't have Sega who did.
I didn't play those.
They were kind of losing momentum as a company, like they needed to do something because at the time the 32X and the Saturn,
Which both failed.
And here is the difference between Sega and Nintendo and why it kind of didn't do so well as a company after the 90s, is they were split on what they wanted to do. Sega Japan wanted to focus on Saturn, the new system. Sega America wanted to focus on Genesis and the games and Genesis and to make that profitable. So there was a split in the company. So they were kind of wafting on what to do, so it kind of, they split their focus. Nintendo tends to not do that, once you had Shigeru Miyamoto at the head, really being like, this is what we're doing.
Okay, so this runs at 60 frames a second.
And, originally I was doing my research on it, and originally all the characters and the sprites were spheres, so everything was very spherical, and they kind of deemed it too abstract. It was hard to delineate what was what, and everything just kind of looked like blobby shapes, so they redesigned all of this.
So this is boss battle, and this is obviously the easiest boss because it's the first boss.
I will take a note. Do you see the moving flags in the background?
Yes.
They took footage, real footage from the top of their building, and flags at the top of their building. So that footage is how their flags move in the
That's awesome. Again, very 90s. He's doing the Vector Man peace sign. And at the end of each level you get, I did not collect enough photons to get a lot of bonuses, but I did it. In between levels, you get these kind of bonus where Vector Man has morphed into a train. Oh, I did. There it is. Alright, so I'm just having a blast playing here. I will let my lovely wife talk about our notes and I'll chime in if there's anything.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the composer here, his name is John Holland. He wanted a techno kind of soundtrack. Apparently, was inspired by bands like Orbital. I've never heard of them. Kraftwerk, I've never heard of them. But Prodigy, I have heard of. So he wanted something rhythmic, almost danceable.
So let's listen for a second. Yup, you can hear it, and that's one of the things that when I was a kid, again, seeing that, like Donkey Kong, look at that water, like that just looks awesome.
He was quoted as saying it was difficult to work with the sound chip.
Because the Sega Genesis has a crappy FM sound chip that, compared to the Super Nintendo, sucks.
Just hearing that difference, hearing that water level, that aquatic theme in that water level, apparently that took 3 weeks to compose and just sounded so much richer than what the Sega was able to produce.
But I'll show you what you can do in Donkey Kong here in a minute.
This wasn't released in Japan for 5 years after it was originally launched, and even then it was only in compilations.
Yeah,
Not
because,
really sure why.
well, Sega Japan had no faith in it. Now, I'm a bomb! And it gets even better, and I remember when I showed you this for the first time, you almost vomited because, I'm getting some slowdown there. I'm a bomb, then I was Vector Man, now I'm a fish, and I can't keep track of this crap.
Yes, it felt very frenetic, felt too fast-paced for me. Like a lot of Sega Genesis games, they tend to move very fast for me, which is funny because Donkey Kong can get that flow, and you can just, it feels smooth and flowy and you go really fast. This was too much for the process, which I don't know, maybe that's just a me thing.
What else do we have on this?
At the end of its first year, it sold 500,000 copies.
So, well behind Donkey Kong.
Yes, I think from, 500,000, Donkey Kong Country sold 900,000. But to be fair, this was not released in Japan. So if you're looking at that was worldwide, that 900,000 copies was probably worldwide. I don't know exactly why that's the book, but I think it was worldwide. So this didn't get as large of a release. To be fair, I mean, my preference is I think Donkey Kong is a far superior game. I think it looks prettier, I think sound's prettier.
I'll give you the sound. I think that this, and I'll give you the looks, but just the gameplay for this and the world building is so much better.
That's where we're different. I did not enjoy playing this. I absolutely love Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, I did not enjoy playing as a rotund monkey.
But this was really well received.
I would much rather be a robot that can morph into a bomb and go around this cabin.
Yeah, it was very, very well received at the time. It got incredible reviews.
Slow down right there.
Yes. It's considered a hidden gem of the Sega Genesis system.
Alright, anything else on this before I give my final thoughts? So this, it sold well, it did accomplish its mission, it competed fairly successfully with Donkey Kong, it kept the Genesis alive for kept the Genesis alive for another couple of years. There was a sequel, either the following year or the year after, but at that point the Genesis...
You are correct, it was 1996, so it was a year later.
Yep. And it was rushed, and it's still a good game, but it's not anywhere near as good as this. It was literally a last-ditch. Sega had already decided that they were done with the Genesis, and that barely got approved and made. And it was very rushed in the final months of the system to get one last push. But in that game, we'll do a full review on that, but that game focuses more, which is why I don't like it as much. It focuses more on it's got a nature theme, whereas this has a more futuristic tech theme. And the one thing I don't like about this game is later on, it repeat levels. They will have the same level, just different. Oh, there you go. Just different backgrounds and different colors, and yeah, that I do not appreciate. Donkey Kong does it a little bit, but this game is really, really bad with it. Like, you will see that first level that I played 5 more times in this game. This is one of my favorite levels. But Vector Man, I would give it still to this day a 9 out of 10. So if you can, and it's very affordable to pick up in a shop or on Amazon loose, it's still pretty cheap, like $15, $20 maybe. And that's all we got for today.